What's going on, guys? Welcome to the first episode of the Man podcast, um, which is a podcast about the greatest sitcom of all time, Friends. Mainly focusing on Chandler because he's not only the best character in the show, but he's also the best character in probably any sitcom, in any media. I'd say. This looks this light makes me look a bit menacing actually. But that's fine. So basically what's gonna happen is I'm gonna talk through each episode and we're just gonna talk about it. It's gonna be very boring probably because you can just watch it. But it might be fun. Could be. Alright, let's start. I've got some notes. I wanna go through my notes on my phone because I've also got it here if I need to refresh. Give it a little watch. We also could do this as well. Pretty cool. There's a couple of guys there. All right, episode one, which is entitled the one where Monica gets a roommate, pilot in brackets. Pardon me, I'm sorry about that. We start off in the calf in Central Perk. They're all chatting, as they usually do. What I noticed is there's a lot of weird kind of cuts going on. Like they cut between two, so they're in the Central Perk, and they do like a little what's one of those, like a little sting, but then they're still in the cafe, and I don't think they do that anywhere like later on. I think that's quite an early on episode thing. I just thought that was it's not interesting, but I just thought funny. First thing you gotta say is like all these guys were in this is like their prime. It's like you look at Joey, you look at Chandler, Ross, whatever. But I mean, you're like, yeah, come on, you'd have him, like, you know what I mean. Joey with the hair. Absolutely. I mean, this is technically a Chandler podcast, but you got to give up to the man. He's got some hair in the first season. Chandler looks sexy as well. We get the first. It's an annoying one. We also get the first kind of that weird like hi by Ross, the hi, which I actually find really funny. I don't really like Ross at all, but when he does that, I'm like, that's good. That's a good bit. That's a good bit of funny. I sort of rate that. So Ross has just been kind of broken up with, and then Joey does the line. He's like, this guy says hello. I want to kill myself. And that's funny as well. I'm like, that's a good bit. I rate that. Um, that's probably one of the bigger laughs that you'd get from this episode, I think. Um, I've got a Chandler because Susan, Carol, Carol. I should know that. Susan, whoever whoever Ross's bird was, lesbian, and then Chandler, funny guy is. He's like, sometimes I wish I was a lesbian. Pretty good bit. I rate it. Then you get Rachel coming in, storming in her bloody dress, making a scene. Because what happens is Ross is there and he's like, um, don't know, he says something about like wanting to be married. I don't remember, to be honest. He's like, I just want to be married, and then Rachel runs in and it's like, that's funny. And then Chandler's like, I just want $1 million. And he doesn't get it, obviously, but he's a funny guy. From the start, we can see that he's the comedian of the show. See what we've got here. Also, I've got the microphone on this kind of thing here. Because I haven't got one of those like stand things, it's not very stable, so I'm kind of like trying to be close to it, but also the lights on my face and it looks strange. Um, yeah, and Rachel sits down there like chatting, and she's like, "Yeah, broke up with him. He looks like Mr. Potato Head." That's funny, I don't know. I'm, I'm after watching it so many times, I'm kind of over some of the people in it, but I rate the effort. And we get a little sting again. We get a little one of those, and they're in the apartment. And they're watching some Spanish show, like it's funny in it, which I kind of do get like sometimes. I don't think I've done it, but you do kind of want to watch like a show like you don't understand it, but it's like funny because it's like what's going on. And also, it's like a soap opera or something, so some crazy shit happens. So that's funny. And they're all shouting like, "Push her down the stairs, push her down the stairs." And she goes down the stairs, and it's funny. I guess they did it. But anyway, and Rachel's on the phone. She's like, I'm a shoe. You're a shoe. I'm a shoe. I'm a shoe. But I don't want to be a shoe. I want to be like a purse." Which is good. Phoebe. I was talking about Phoebe singing a song. I don't really remember that. Give me in the zone. Oh, I missed a bit as well. The bit where kind of Rachel in the cafe before Rachel's holding her mug and like Ross is putting all the stuff in it and like stirring it up. I thought that was pretty funny. But um, Baby singing song. Why have I written that? I don't know what it means. Oh yeah, she comes. She's trying to like what it is. She's trying to comfort her, so she sings. Banana, 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 banana. Fuck you on. Oh yeah, Mercury is in retrograde, so just remember that. What was I saying? I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm lost. Um, I'm actually lost. And Joey, Joey being the bloody bloke he is, he kind of come on to Rachel. He's like, he always comes to Joey, and he says like Chandler's away a lot, which what does that mean? What does that mean? Maybe we'll find out. Probably not. Um, and then Ross is still pretty pissed off, and then Monica is like, yeah, I'm going on a date with whatever he's called, the wine bloke. Um, and then she's like, "Oh, would you rather stay behind?" And then Ross is like, "That would be good." In his little high kind of way, which, as I say, I like that bit, so I rate that bit again. And they go to the apartment, and I didn't notice this before, but I think we have a very rare moment in Friends here because they're all building all the furniture, and you see Chandler wearing a hat, like a cap, and I can't recall him ever wearing a cap again in the series. So but I'm gonna watch out for that, and you should watch out for that because you know that's quite interesting. It makes you think, doesn't it? It makes you think he's in like a kind of protection mode, maybe. He's helping out his mate who's just broken up with. I don't know, really. You don't know. Ross is popping a slab squat. Pretty cool. Good depth. That's all I got to say about that, really. And he says something about Carol drinking beer straight out of the can, and how that kind of indicated that she was a lesbian. But the thing with Friends is, it was they were very up and down with how they approached kind of the LGBT elements. There's a lesbian couple in it, first of all, which is good. I mean, it's pretty good for the time, I think. But you also have these little comments that are kind of shut up. You also have these comments that are kind of going against it. But what can you do? That's just part of how it went back then, I guess. It wouldn't happen. They couldn't do that now, right? You couldn't do that now because woke culture, right? Big time. Alright. But and then Ross is all pissed off. And then Joey does some bit about how Joey's like, I mean, Ross is like, what if there's only one woman for everyone? Which I think sometimes we all felt that way. We've been like, yeah, been like break up with someone. You're like, well, what now? Who now? Um, bah, 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 bah. And then Joey does some funny comment about how he's like, uh, what were you say? What were you 8 when you got married? Okay, fair enough. I guess funny joke. Whatever. Then we cut to the date between the wine bloke. I forgot his name. He's just the wine bloke basically. And Monica, and he's going on about how he hasn't been able to shag for 2 years. We've all had our ups and downs with that, let's say, but irregardless, Monica's like, yeah, Monica's proper into it. She's like, yeah, that's bad, that, but also like, I think I could probably sort it out, which is it's fair enough. I mean, she rates it. He's opened up to her, and she's like, no, I'm happy. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where that goes, I guess. But cut back to like Ross and in the apartment, and he's like by the window, being all like looking at the window, being all sad, and like I think this is actually when they do the one person for everyone. And he's like, and then some music comes on. Face to Rachel, she's doing the same. She's sitting there, like by the window, like all sad because she's fucked. She's sad. So it's like, are they? It's like maybe they're kind of like meant to be, right? Um, I've written something here, but I can't. Uh, I've written about. Oh, it's Paul, Paul the wine guy is his name. So he's a shagger, and I've also written he's a gaslighter. I think that's kind of gaslighting. Um, I, yeah, something like that. It's like coercion, something like that. I've written that is amazing, but I'm not sure what that is. I've written that is amazing. Okay. What if you get one and that's it? And Joey does this whole bit about. So it's kind of cutting between Ross's apartment and estate, and that is amazing. Where's that come from? And Joey's doing this thing about. It's amazing. Oh, Paul. Oh, Paul, is it? Alright, I'm going way ahead of myself here. And I think we've got to talk about the fashion. We see here both Joey and Chandler are wearing the vests. The classic Chandler vest you see here. Joey, I mean, he wears one in this kind of episode, but I mean, you don't really see that come up again. Um, which is fine because the what's it called? The vest is pretty shit. Like you see in the bottom left of the what's it called here, like that kind of vest. That's what you're getting. That's what you're getting with Chandler, and that carries on, and he sticks to that, which I'm behind because I think he looks sick, and I really like this guy. I think he's cool. And then Paul's right. Paul and Monica, they come out of the bedroom, and they're like, "Oh, just a date, is it? Just a date, yeah, right, okay." And then so then they're like talking by the door, like Monica and Paul and wine bloke, and then bloke saw the table, move the table, trying to have a little listen, like cheeky. Rachel makes some coffee and it's probably rank, so they just beep in the plant pot. Fair enough, you know. Kind of foreshadowing. Kind of, we get kind of like a little throwback to that later. Um, Chandler, and then Chandler goes to work, and this is kind of the first indication of not really understanding what Chandler does, because he says what did he say? One second, boys, I'm gonna find it. Bah, 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 Chandler, Chandler. Where's Chandler? Where the freak? Oh, he is. Have I got subtitles on or not? We all have jobs. That's how we know stuff. Right. Yeah, I'm an actor. I doubt it. I'm sorry. Where the friggin' piss is this shit? There we go. Show him put my tail back. Jerry, okay. Alright, yeah. Chandler is going to work. He says, if I don't input those numbers, it doesn't make much of a difference. Which kind of is like, yeah, what does he do and why does it matter? And does it matter? We don't know. Probably not. Doesn't seem like it might. He's also wearing a vest and like a top, pretty cool. Joey, you know, he's telling Rachel about how he's an actor. Kind of, and then you get Chandler again doing some little bit about how he was in some Pinocchio production. Um, and then he kind of get the first glimpse of Chandler. I mean, Chandler's got a few dances, but you get a kind of glimpse of like, runs out the door like, I'll get it up and I can replicate it. So, I'm an actor. Have I seen anything? Look, Tress, I'm a real live boy. And he was it? I'm sorry. Yeah, he does this kind of thing, and you'll see that popping up in future episodes as well. Kind of that. I mean, that kind of dance. I mean, he does that kind of stuff, which is cool. Which makes him cool because he is cool because he's the best. And he's funny. Chandler goes, well, I'm just playing now. Monica in kitchen, don't see much of after season one. Yeah, it cuts to Monica cooking in where she works. To be fair, I wrote that, but that doesn't actually make any sense because in the first season she does have a job in the kitchen, and you do see her a couple of times. Then she loses her job in another season, so I don't know. That doesn't really work. But it's just kind of weird. It's just you don't see it very often. Like we go back to when you rewatch the show, you're like, oh yeah, she works in the kitchen, and there's other people there. Um. Uh. And then yeah, and then another woman comes in, and then she's going on about how she basically shagged Paul, one guy, and he's a bit of a shagger, bit of a gaslighter. Again, we don't rate that, but but it works. I'm kidding. And Monica's pissed. Doesn't seem that pissed actually. Then go back to the cafe. They're all sitting there, and then Joey's like, "It was obviously a line, you creep bitch." Um, then Phoebe does some bits. I think she starts when people say things, she starts like singing them back, and then one of them's like, "Stop doing that," and she's like, "All right," which is quite funny because with Phoebe, I feel as the show goes on, I kind of hate her. Not hate, but she kind of just it's just what's that word? That is it Flanderization or something? She kind of just gets a bit too kooky. But I think it's just enough kookiness in this episode. You know, you get kind of introduced into how kooky she is. She's a kooky person, but it's not too annoying, and it's quite funny. Um, And then back in the apartment, because Rachel has just bought some shoes with her dad's credit card, shouldn't be doing that. So they smack up all their cards, bosh them. So now she has to be a working woman. And then you kind of get a story about Phoebe's background. You get about how her mum offed herself and how her father was in jail or something, and then she lived in something, and she was kind of like homeless. She shouldn't say she was homeless in the episode, I don't think, but later on she was, so I assume that it's kind of linked. Hey, that's pretty good to be fair. Ultra Black. I recommend that. It's supposed to be cherry, but not not like overly. It's pretty good. Realize that. So yeah, his suicide. That's funny. Kind of contrast between Rachel's situation and Phoebe's situation, or whatever. That's what it's supposed to be. And then wait, I need to look at it because I'm kind of like I'm missing stuff. She's in the kitchen, did the line bit. Phoebe's doing a bit. Joe gets pushed off. Count the cards. So is it just go straight from that to that? Count the cards. Yeah, and it cuts to them later on. They're all lounging around. Ross and wait, where is it? Ross and Monica are kind of really close, like kind of cuddling a bit on the couch, which I think throughout the whole of the show, I always find it very strange their relationship. Again, they're very close. I guess maybe that's normal. I don't think personally I wouldn't be like that with my sister, but fair enough if they want to. They get quite close, they're kissing all the time. But maybe that's normal. If that's normal, fair enough. And then Monica sees Paul's watch. Did I mention the watch? Well, earlier Paul said that he smashed his ex's watch out of annoyance, I guess, or spite, or just being like, because she's a bitch. So I think Monica's thing does a thing where she's like, oh, there's a watch, and she like kind of like passively smashes it. Does she? I thought she did, but I can't see. I'm not seeing it. Cut. Look where you found it. Okay, puts it on the floor. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she does like a funny bit where it was on the floor, then she tells Rachel to put it back on the floor, and she like walks in to a room and stamps on it, which is don't know, swings around about full circle, I guess. I mean, it's only a watch at the end of the day. So then it's just Ross and Rachel, the power couple. And Ross admits to Rachel that he has a crush on her. She knows that already. Who doesn't have a crush on Rachel, right? But she's a fine lady. She knows. And then Ross is kind of like doing this thing. Like I don't know if I feel like he does it quite a lot, where he's kind of holding something. And this it's like a cookie. So say this thing. Kind of doing this. He's like, he's like, and like doing this like thing. He's like, what if like don't ignore my will be me being really sad, but like, would you want to go on a date someday? And he eats it later, but yeah, and so he says, we could go out someday, and she's like, yeah, you're right, buddy. And then Ross walks out. He says, "Look, Cookie, who's that?" And Monica's there, and she's like, "See you." He's like, "Mm-hmm." And she's like, "Wait." She's like, "What's up? What's going on with you?" And he's like, "Fuck." Earlier, there was a bit, and they did. Joey was talking about ice cream and spoons, and like how grabbing a woman, like trying to find a woman, is like grabbing the spoon and then having the ice cream. There's so many different flavors of ice cream, and there's so many women. So Ross is like goes to the door, and he stands there at the door, and he's like, and Monica's like, "So you?" And then Ross is like, I come closer. He's like, "I grabbed the spoon," and it's like, "Well," and it kind of fades out. That's like the kind of the credits happen then. Not the credits, but that bit uh, where where it says executive producers Kevin S. Bryant, Marta Kaufman, and David Crane. And then in the after bit, in the after bit, we see that we get a slow pan. We're in the Central Perk, and like we're sitting down. We get a slow kind of pan up to see who's the waitress and who is it. It's only bloody Rachel Green. So she's working there, and then someone says like, "So cut them calories, sorted." And Joey's like, are you serving it or did you make it?" And then I forgot what the answer to that is. But this is funny bit, I guess. Kind of call back to when the coffee was rude discussing before. Um, at this point, this is when Phoebe's doing her little repeat and sing thing. I suppose I said here. And then Chandler's kind of Chandler calling everyone kids, which is I kind of like. I just think it's like a cool thing to say. So like, it's just like cool. It's a bit condescending, but it's like nice. It's like, yeah. And he's talking about how in his dream he is Liza Minnelli. And also at the start, we literally right the first scene we have a story from him talking about how he was naked, and he had like a phone where it should be. So and the phone went, and he was talking to his mother. Um, I guess what I'm saying is, if you read into the Friends law, I'm pretty sure that Chandler was kind of supposed to be gay. So I just this is kind of a pre thing. Like Liza Minnelli is kind of like it's kind of like I'd say she's kind of a gay icon kind of thing. I don't know, but I feel like this is kind of the start of what they were getting at until they kind of changed their mind and made him a straight man. Yeah, that's it really. That's the whole episode. It's awkward. There are awkward scenes. It's not what it becomes for sure, but it does get laughs. I enjoy it. I enjoy it, and yeah, I think it's a good start to the show. It introduces everyone very well. You get a good idea of what kind of person everyone is. Chandler, obviously, he's sick. He's just sick as fuck. Um, and as this podcast goes on, we'll talk more about Chandler and his transformation. But there's quite a lot to him in this. He gets a lot of screen time. He gets a lot of jokes in. It's clear to see from the start that he's kind of the main character. He has the kind of the first joke in the show and the last joke. He kind of starts it all and wraps it all up. So basically, what I'm saying is Chandler is the main character in Friends. Um, and we're gonna peer into that as we go on. Um, because it's just clear, really. Um, so yeah, that's it, really. we'll get around to season two. Season two, episode two a is a weird one. It is the one with the the controversial one I've seen come up quite recently about Ross and Susan or Carol, his ex-bird baby name. So we're gonna look at that. The one with the sonogram at the end is that episode. So we're gonna look at that soon, and I really hope that you enjoy this. I know it was really I literally just described what happened in the show. But I'll try and make it better. Um, I like this bit. It's really funny. This is I just love this. See, this alone it makes Chandler the main character of this. But yeah, so yeah, sorry for dragging on. I don't know, whatever. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will check you probably probably not soon, to be honest. I mean, I wrote a lot of notes here, and it took a while. Well, I mean, it took 22 minutes, I guess. So maybe I will do one soon. We'll see. Cheers.